All right, welcome into the Rant with me, Pugs Moran, every day, every afternoon, at some point in the afternoon. Lately, it's been a little bit later, but that's okay. Hi, Taronda. Taronda's in the chat room. She's the first person in. Who's going to be the second? I'm having some problems here, guys. Well, what's new, right? What's freaking new? I don't understand why I just... I don't know. I don't understand what I'm doing. Been doing it for 4 years. You would think I would have some idea of, the difference between restreaming YouTube and people watching on Facebook and how to promote. I don't know. Hi, Barney. There he is. Barney's here too. All right. It's hot. It's going to be a hot summer. This air conditioning ain't getting fixed. It's the fucking... How long is it going to take? But that's okay. We're in a good mood. Hi, Jen. Jen's here. There we go. I need my chat people to say hi. All right, we're going to get into a lot of stuff here today. Also, tonight at 6 o'clock, we're going to do a Shock House. Shock House! We'll talk sports. Sports and other things. It's me, it's CC, it's Keith. Oh, it'll be fun. Shock House tonight at 6 o'clock live stream. Just fucking around with a little different kinds of content. That's all. This is news-based, hot topics, current events, shit that I'm thinking of, stuff that I want to talk to you, the good folks, about. Okay, let's get into some of the topics. Here's what we're going to get into today. All right, got a lot of stuff on my mind today. We're going to talk about the Epstein situation, of course, because I'm talking about that every freaking day. It ain't going away. I'm not losing interest in it. Are you? You shouldn't. But here's an aspect of the Epstein conversation that I want to dig into today, okay? Yeah, I'll give you all the updates. I'll tell you the latest stuff that they're saying and he's doing and this is happening. I'll give you all of that stuff. But what I really want to drill down on here today with our Epstein conversation is, what do we want? What is our expectation of what we're going to receive? I mean, everybody's like, release the files. Well, what are the files? What are you talking about, files? You talking about court transcripts? I would like to hear from the witness. We'll talk about that in our Epstein segment today. What is it that we want? And what will be satisfactory? What is going to make us go, oh, okay, at least they seem like they're being honest now. What is it? We've got to define that. Otherwise, this fucking conversation is just going to go on forever. So what do we want? I'll go through what I think we want, and then maybe we can chat that up in the chat room there. So we'll talk about Epstein. We're also going to talk about Brian Kohberger. Been avoiding this guy, but today's the last time maybe we'll ever speak. No, you know what? I hope we talk about Brian Kohberger one more time. I hope we talk Brian Kohberger, of course, convicted now, sentenced today. We'll get into all the details of that. Killing those 4 Idaho college students about 2 years ago now over Thanksgiving weekend. Maybe you remember. Horrifying. Horror movie. I mean, 3 beautiful young college students and 1 dude, Ethan Chapin. Everybody forgets about Ethan. Don't forget about Ethan. We got the Canoodle girl. We got the Mogan girl. We got the Chapin girl. And we got one other. Oh, now who's an asshole? Now I can't remember the 4th victim. Anyway, it's been one of those dark stories that I haven't been covering because I don't see any real reason to, other than just talking about shit that makes me sad. Like parents who sent their kids off to college and, over Thanksgiving weekend, they were coming home. They got slaughtered that night. It's just terrible. Just terrible. So we'll talk about Brian Kohberger for, as I say, maybe the last time. I hope not. Fingers crossed. I hope we'll talk about Brian Kohberger again when he's murdered in prison. That'll be a fun story. We all enjoyed that little bookend to the Jeffrey Dahmer situation. So let's have that for Brian Kohberger as well. All right, we'll talk about all the details there concerning his sentencing today up there in Idaho. I want to get into a story here. I like the relationship stories. There's a story coming out of Binghamton, New York. Binghamton College Town, upstate New York. Nice little town. Never been there. Know someone from there. Seems like a good person. Seems like a good town. Binghamton, New York's police chief has been placed on... He can't work. Suspended. I don't know if they're saying suspended. I don't know if that, whatever it is, he's in trouble. He's been taken off. Well, they got an interim chief. All right. So there you go. So whatever. Binghamton, New York's police chief got himself in trouble. What did he do? Well, we'll talk about it. Here's what he did. He's got terrible taste in women. I'll tell you that. His girlfriend is a real piece of work. We got video. We'll find out exactly why the chief of police in Binghamton has been sidelined. Because of his crazy girlfriend. That's why. You women. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love you women. I love women. Not enough to really want to be around one my whole life. That's, been married twice. I get it. I tried it. I did what society said I was supposed to do. And I was like, no, this is not good. I mean, this is the only person I get to sleep with ever again, ever, unless I can work some deal out with her. I don't, and not that I was, running around with other people, but that's kind of heavy. I'm like, what? Anyway, here I sit. I'll die alone. I'll die alone in an ill-fitting adult diaper on my kitchen floor in some funky apartment that my son is paying for. That's how I'm going to go. No, I'm kidding. That's not how I'm going to go. I'm one of those weird people who knows with like 80% accuracy how he's going to go. How do I know this? Because I'm going to gack myself. As soon as I get that call from the doctor's office where they say, we'd like you to come in and talk, I'm going to be like, okay, all right, let's start planning the exit strategy. In no way I'm going off like as Junior Soprano would say, one of those, what do they call them? Toothpicks. I don't want to be one of them toothpicks. God love the people who put up that fight, but I'm not built for a cancer fight. So with 80% accuracy, I know that, especially if it's like a terminal disease or something, I'm pretty much going to take care of that on my own. It'll be fine. No one will be sad. Everybody will be cool with it. I'll be like, come on, man. Do you want to be around me going through chemotherapy? Ain't nobody wants that. All right. So we'll talk about that. How do we get out of that subject? All right, next subject. The other thing we're going to talk about, JetBlue Airlines. Some people were doing some sexy stuff on a JetBlue airline. We got the details. We'll break it down. JetBlue. Look, I'll say this before we get into the whole JetBlue conversation. You know my very controversial take on whores, right? Yeah, I got no problem with whores. I got no problem with a girl who is a strong, independent whore. That means that she doesn't give a shit about what you think, about what she does with her body. She is large and in charge. Whores. Something to be said for them. Dumb whores, however. I got no room for dumb whores. All right? And this JetBlue story is concerns someone who I think we'll all agree is a dumb whore. All right, there you go. We'll do that. Also, I found an interesting story that I want to talk about today about all of these celebrities who have moved to Texas. Yeah, they don't like it here. They don't like it here with your West Coast ideologies. Yeah, they're a bunch of celebrities are conservative influencers, if I'm being honest. I mean, I don't know. Are they celebrity? Like, is Charlie Kirk a celebrity in your world? If he is, I don't want to know you. If he is, if Charlie Kirk or Candace Owens is a celebrity in your world, get the fuck out of here. I ain't talking to you. Dave Grohl is a celebrity in my world, okay? Paul Rudd is a celebrity in my Candace Owens. They're not celebrities. They're non-anonymous people. That's what they are, non-anonymous people. All right, so we'll get into that too, regretting the move to Texas. The final thing that I want to get into today, actually, it's not the final thing. We also got some news on ESPN and how that's going to affect our football watching, not this season, but in coming years. And finally today, I will get into a thing put out by the Dallas Observer. We do this show here from North Texas, Dallas. Dallas Observer issued a story concerning Dallas speak, the terminology of DFW. Do we have our own language? Well, turns out we might. So we'll go through some of the words that are used here in Dallas that people who come here from elsewhere, they're like, what does Metroplex mean? That's a made-up word. There's no such thing as a Metroplex anywhere else in the world. We'll talk about Dallas terminology, the language we use that confuses our new neighbors. All right. That's a big show. It's a lot of stuff that we're going to get into. And then after that, I got to do Shock House. Shock House. Peter, Peter, send them back, Peter says. Send them back! Are you kidding me? No! Come on, send them back. You want to send them back? What kind of be welcoming? We're Texans, man. If they're cool, we want them. If they're not, they're going to suck. But don't act like all native Texans are cool. There's a lot of sucky native Texans. But yeah, the upset comedians who didn't explode like Joe Rogan, who are now bitching about being here. Yeah, go kick rocks, asshole. So on that end, I do agree with Peter. All right, let's get started. Here we go. The first thing that we're going to talk about today is we're going to get into the whole Epstein conversation, because that's the conversation that will not die, right? Epstein list, huh? People still going around going Epstein list. The fuck is an Epstein list? There's no such thing as that. You're asking for something that I don't think can be manifested. What is it that you think is out there floating around, you noobs? Do you think that there is a handwritten list of people, and at the top of the list it says celebrities who bang children? Is that the only way that you're going to be satisfied? That doesn't exist, you guys. That is not out there. And yet the way people are talking on social media, it's like they think there's a smoking gun in this whole Epstein thing. There ain't no smoking gun, folks. Epstein was careful. He was a billionaire. Everybody he was dealing with was another person with a lot to lose. Okay? There isn't anybody that's going to get caught up in the Epstein thing that's a night manager at Jiffy Lube. Okay, these are all people who are very careful and discreet about their many, I assume, indiscretions. And I'm talking about the elite class that, yes, our president is a part of. I'm sorry. I know he got the medicine wagon all revved up and drove down to the South and sold everybody snake oil elixir. And you're all like, the big carpetbagging millionaire from big cities telling us the truth. You all got fucking hoodwinked. All right? So now stop acting like a baby, because you're not going to get exactly what you want from the Epstein list. Let's get into the latest. What is the news concerning the Epstein list today? Let's see. I'll get into more details about what I actually want, okay? Let's see here. What's the latest? Okay, so the latest, I guess, is a story that the K-Files. You know what the K-Files are, folks? The K-Files are CNN's investigation unit. That's what I'm looking for. The K-Files. Excuse me. I think that stands for some dude named Andrew Kaczynski. Andrew Kaczynski, as I understand it, he is a correspondent for CNN. He started out as Brian Stelter's intern. Brian Stelter was the media guy, and Andrew Kaczynski, I guess, was his second in command. And then they fired Brian Stelter because right-wing MAGA Twitter turned on him. So CNN's like, woo-hoo, woo-hoo, and they fired him because they're gutless pussies. I'm not defending Brian Stelter. I always thought he was kind of a drip, but whatever. It's okay. All of a sudden, you got cat turd taking swings at Brian Stelter, and you guys are firing him. Well, anyway, the result of that was Andrew Kaczynski seems to have been elevated to a much larger position there at CNN. Again, the former intern of Brian Stelter is now the author of the K-Files. And every now and again, CNN will roll out Andrew and his K-Files, and they'll have a big bomb of a story. Well, they did one yesterday. I don't know how much of a fucking bomb this is. All right, let's get into it. K-File exclusive, CNN, says here, newly discovered photos and video shed light on Trump's ties to Jeffrey Epstein. Okay, this is not shocking news to me, right? You know what? Let's just watch a little of it. Let's just watch a little bit of the K-File footage here. Let me see, where can I find it? Boom, boom, here we go. Newly discovered, that's what we're going to say. Again, we're just not going to watch giant chunks of CNN. I promise you that. But let's see what the gist of this story is all about. I'm sure they'll give us a commercial. All right, I'm buffering.
Let's start with the eye chart.
What makes you think I can read?
You can talk.
Commercial.
And you booked an eye exam online.
We don't need the sound. We don't need the sound for the stupid owl who can't read commercial. All right, here we go.
95 at America's Best.
Andrew Kaczynski of K-File is here with the new images of Trump and Epstein. And Andrew, I shared one of them there. But, so let's start with the one at Trump's wedding. I mean, this is a significant development.
Well, yeah, it is. Trump's wedding to Marla Maples in 1993 was dubbed the wedding of the century by the media at the time. And although we know that Trump and Epstein were friends during...
All right, can I just stop in right here? I mean, that's framing a story. What she just did there was she framed the story by letting us, the stupid viewer, know that this is a significant story. It's called framing it. All right, that's not journalism. It's not her place to tell us, the news consumer, whether something is significant or not. And let me also add, far be it from me to defend Trump. I'm not a Trump guy. This is not significant. This is not significant at all. For people like me, who have for years understood that there is a circle of billionaires in Manhattan, and Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein were two members of this group. For years, I've known this. It is not a surprise to me when you roll out pictures from 1995. Look, it's Jeffrey Epstein and Donald Trump in the same room. I bet they were on a lot of same lists for a lot of cocktail parties, okay? This is all obvious. So the idea that CNN last night broke the news that Jeffrey Epstein went to Donald Trump's wedding in 1993, that's not significant. I mean, I guess I'd never thought about it before, but if I'd been put on the place, hey, do you think Jeffrey Epstein went to his wedding to Marla Maples in 93? I'd go, yeah, it was around the time that they were hanging out. Yeah, probably. So, okay, so now we got pictures, right? Let's watch.
During this period, this is really the first time that it's actually been reported that Trump invited Epstein to his wedding.
All right. So look, I hate that it freezes like this, like in a bad position. Jeffrey Epstein looks like a dork. White pants, black top. It doesn't look good. I don't know if it looked good in 93 maybe, but it doesn't look good now. He looks stupid.
We should note more than a decade before those first allegations of sex trafficking against Epstein. But as you...
By the way, not for nothing, who's this guy? Is that Biden? That looks like Biden. Jeffrey Epstein walked into Trump's wedding with Biden. All right.
Trump's relationship with Epstein has been under the microscope recently. Now, besides that one photo of Epstein entering the reception at the Plaza Hotel, we can also see him in the background of another picture. That's Howard Stern on the far right, along with Robin Leach from Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous, and Epstein is behind them at the wedding, almost seeming to be photobombing them. We also found this photo from just a few months earlier.
Wait, I got a question, though. I got a question here about this. All right, so this is 1993. This is before Howard Stern was officially separated from Allison, his wife. Who's this chick? This ain't Beth. Who's this model-looking chick that Howard's secretly squiring around to done? Is that Beth? That doesn't look like her. Look, I'm not naive enough to think that Beth was the first supermodel that Howard was, getting with before that went public. But anyway, I thought that was interesting because I don't know who this woman is.
Trump with two of his children talking to Jeffrey Epstein.
Right, now this one is kind of troubling. Here's why this is troubling. Because I believe that when Donald Trump was friends with Jeffrey Epstein, I believe that everybody knew that Jeffrey Epstein was into some pretty sketchy sex. Donald Trump, in a New Yorker interview in 2002, talking about his good friend Jeffrey Epstein, said he's got a lot of women in his life, many of them young. Donald Trump knew. Donald Trump knew that, maybe not to the extent that he was flying 12-year-olds to Lolita Island. That I don't know. But when you are friends with dudes and you are this powerful and unchecked by society in your little private social circles, you talk about shit and you reveal shit about chicks you're banging and all. You do that. I'm sorry, we're not privy to that because we're dirty peasant scum. But in their little New York City clubs, oh yeah, have you ever seen these rich guy clubs in Manhattan? Oh my God, yeah, we can't go into them, but they can. They can, and they sit there and they smoke their cigars and they plan the next way that they're going to fuck us all. And on occasion, someone like Jeffrey Epstein goes, yeah, I banged this underage chick last. They knew, is my point. The people in this circle around Jeffrey Epstein knew. Now, that begs the question, why didn't they do anything? Because he was rich. because he was a financier, because a lot of them were involved in business deals that had nothing to do with pedophilia, but needed his cash flow. Okay? That's what Jeffrey Epstein was. So, do I believe that Donald Trump knew that Jeffrey Epstein was a sex perv? Yes. Do I know that Donald Trump was aware of the extent of his... Well, did Donald Trump think that he was a pedophile banging 12-year-olds? That I don't know. That I don't know. I think it became apparent later on, but that I do not know. So back to this picture. That's Ivanka standing right there behind Uncle Jeffrey. I know it's a little bit of hyperbole. But if Donald Trump knew that he was this creepy sex perv who liked little girls, I mean, just from everything I've heard about Epstein, it looks to me like this is the age where you know, she would have been right in Epstein's Lolita Island wheelhouse. And here's the president with his daughter and this guy. So it's all very concerning. It's concerning because, one, yes, I believe Donald Trump knew he was a sex perv. I do not know that he knew the extent to which, the crimes that he was committing. 3, if he knew he was a sex perv and he's bringing his daughters around him, that's troubling. That's troubling. You don't want to bring your kids to... All right, let's continue. Here we go. The K-File investigation.
At the opening of the Harley-Davidson Cafe in New York in October 1993. You can see Ivana there. She would have been just about to turn 12 years old in that photo.
Yeah, you can see Ivanka right there it looks like between Trump and Epstein. All right, these are never before seen photos, Andrew. I know you also found some video of Trump and Epstein that was from later of them talking that has also never surfaced before. What's that?
Well, that's...
All right, now this is interesting because if you remember, one of my real bits of evidence, although probably not concrete, it's more me judging people. One of my bits of evidence that Donald Trump liked Jeffrey Epstein, that Donald Trump was in many ways subservient to Jeffrey Epstein and his money flow. One of the pieces of evidence that I always point to is the other piece of video that we've seen now for years of Jeffrey Epstein and Donald Trump at a party at Mar-a-Lago. And Donald Trump appears to be kissing up to him. Donald Trump's dancing and he's talking. Jeffrey Epstein is just standing there, like surveying the room. And Donald is like the little Smithers, whispering jokes in his ear and doing all this and pointing shit out. That is proof to me that Donald Trump liked Jeffrey Epstein or was subservient to him, was kissing his ass for some reason. Okay, so now we got new video. Let's see what the interaction between these two are in the new video. Let's see if that's still the case, where Donald Trump seems to be the one aggressively trying to make this relationship work.
That's right. This is from 6 years later in 1999. This video has never been seen before in this context. It shows Trump talking to Jeffrey Epstein just before models hit the runway at the Victoria's Secret fashion show in New York in 1999.
All right, see, so this is exactly what I'm talking about. These 1% billionaires, they're in the same circles. They're going to be in the same room as each other. This is some stupid fashion model thing that they go to. Who's this guy? Who's the other guy? We're talking about, is Trump talking to Epstein? Okay, so who's this dude? What company does this guy own that he doesn't want his name associated with this whole Epstein mess? Let's continue.
The only other video we've seen of the two men was 7 years before this. Trump is at the show with Melania, who is, of course, now First Lady, seated a few feet away from Epstein. You can see them chatting during the show as well. Allegations that Epstein sexually abused underage girls didn't surface until 2005, years.
All right, so here you go. So I don't know how well you can see this picture or not, but you've got Trump right here in the middle, and he has sort of got a little halo around him. They're showing Trump. And then this is Epstein. Look at Epstein. He's 3 whole people away. They're not sitting right next to each other. This is no indictment. Why aren't we talking about these people? I mean, it's obvious they ran in the same circles. It's not obvious that Donald Trump is a pedophile just like Jeffrey Epstein, okay? Which is why this whole scandal and the way this White House has misplayed it is so completely befuddling to anybody who leans on logic to try and figure shit out. He should have just said what I just said. Yeah, he was around. He's a money guy. I was doing a lot of deals with people. Boy, you want to hear about some bad people? Let me tell you about some Saudis I've done business with. You know, Donald Trump has done business with bad people. But you know who else has? Bill Gates. You know who else has? Everybody. Let's just say it. Everybody. These are the circles they swim in. Okay. This is not an indictment of his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. It's just more proof that billionaires hang out in the same circles because they don't like us dirty peasants.
After this video was shot.
Right, but this, of course, establishes them together and obviously very friendly in 1999. So, Andrew, when you get all this, and all of this, as I just want to emphasize, right, has not been seen before. So you actually called President Trump. You called him directly to ask him about this.
Yeah, we were not on the phone very long. I think our call was about 30 seconds or so. But when I asked him about the wedding photo, he said, he sort of paused for a second and then said, "You've got to be kidding me," before calling CNN fake news and then hanging up on me. Now, in a statement to CNN, White House Communications Director Stephen Chung said this. He said these are nothing more than out of context frame grabs of innocuous videos and pictures of widely attended events to disgustingly infer something nefarious. The fact is that the president kicked him out of his club.
All right. This is the statement from the White House concerning this K-Files blockbuster, of which Aaron Burnett told us was significant. Stephen Chung, White House Communications Director, says these are nothing more than out-of-context frame grabs of innocuous videos and pictures of widely attended events to disgustingly infer something nefarious. No lies told there. That is exactly what this is. Now, is it just more sort of circumstantial evidence to make people who don't really rely on facts run to social media and start posting, "I'm convinced Trump's a pedophile"? Yeah, it's more of that. It's more bullshit. Here they are saying the exact same thing I said. These are nothing more than out of context. Look at Trump. Look how close they are at the modeling show. They're fucking 4 seats away from each other. Those aren't people who came together. Those are people who are attending the same event. And far be it from me. Like, I hate this. Like, I got to defend Trump now. Jesus. But when the media is doing this bullshit where they're intentionally trying to gin up a specific block of voters, and that's the anti-Trump, anti-MAGA people, I got to call bullshit. All right, that's enough of that. Now, the other thing that was very interesting, this I put more stock in than the K-Files blockbuster. After that segment, Aaron Burnett then talked to Jeffrey Epstein's brother. Now, this is somebody I want to hear from. I want to hear from Jeffrey Epstein's brother. Jeffrey Epstein's brother, who lived in New York all of this time, didn't have a great relationship with him, and a little bit of a difference in social status. But brother, nonetheless, knew about Jeffrey Epstein's life. So Jeffrey Epstein's brother comes on Aaron Burnett and starts talking about how Jeffrey Epstein and Trump were really good friends. They were really good friends, like best friends at some point, which is interesting, which I do give credibility to. Because the brother of Jeffrey Epstein, well, his camp, I was going to say he's got no dog in this, but he does. His whole thing is that he's trying to figure out who killed his brother. Do you believe somebody killed Jeffrey Epstein? I sure as shit do. I absolutely do. This idea that he committed suicide? Come on. Very convenient for a lot of people that, we're never going to get to hear Jeffrey Epstein tell his story in full. That was way too convenient for a whole lot of people who we believed would have an embarrassing day after Jeffrey Epstein starts talking. And, the other thing about this that really troubles me is that this whole situation, did you notice? Do you have the timeline here? This whole situation blew up weeks after Virginia Joffrey committed suicide. To which her family, her husband, where they were going through a divorce at the time, her husband and her father say she was murdered. She did not kill herself. She was not. And the reason I point the suicide of Virginia Joffrey out from a couple of months ago is that if she wasn't dead, do you think Virginia Joffrey would be talking on TV? Do you think right now this story blows up? Wouldn't it be nice to be able to talk to Virginia Joffrey? Oh, we can't. We can't because she died just before this thing blew up. Epstein is dead. Ghislaine Maxwell is the only person that we have. She's in prison, and for some reason, the president of the United States is wishing her well. Like there's some kind of agreement. I don't know what's going on. It is all very fishy. But this bullshit that we keep seeing from, people trying to do gotchas against the president, it's all just distractions. There is real shit that we need to be asking questions about. There are other victims out there. There are victims who testified in the trial against, there are victims who have gone on record with investigators. Where are these victims? Why aren't they speaking? I know Virginia Joffrey was like the titular head of all the victims she saw, but she's dead now. So where are the rest of them? We're seeing a couple of them. I've seen a couple people, in the press, victims speaking about all of this. But where are they? Where are they? Okay, so now let's get to what the real question here is. What will satisfy us? Do we know? Do most of the people who are most angry about Epstein, pedophiles, deep state, and do those people even have an actual idea of what it is that they're looking for? Because as I said at the start of the show, if you people are looking for a list of names under the heading of people who had sex with children, you're not going to get that. This is all going to be guilt by association. There are no pictures. There are no videos. Remember the stories. Oh my God, the Epstein stories. I am so glad that I took that deep dive last month and the month before into the P. Diddy trial, because I learned so much about what the actual facts were of the P. Diddy trial and what you morons on social media think it is. My good buddy James Parker, who I love, who does, BAP's on right now, WBAP here in Dallas, 93.3. He's got a terrific stand-up act that he's putting together. But one of the jokes in his stand-up act fucking kills me because it's a dumb Diddy joke that isn't based in any fact, just a stupid internet rumor. And more people, like the Diddy, where's the Diddy list? I want to see a list of all the people that attended his parties. My problem is there is a difference between Diddy parties, which were done publicly, and People magazine reporters were there. Diddy parties are not secret. J-Lo, Justin Bieber, all of these people, they went to Diddy parties. These were parties. They were public. They were photographed. That's not what he was in trouble for, but he was known for parties. So people are stupid, and they just think it's the same thing. Diddy held private sex parties between him, a male prostitute, and his girlfriend. That's it. 3 people. No Meek Mill, no Jay-Z, no Beyonce orgies. That's not fucking true. And I know that it's not true because if it was, that corrupt prosecutor in the Southern District of New York, Maureen Comey, would have used it. But she didn't. So it's very similar. The nonsense that we think is true about the Diddy trial and the nonsense that we think is true about the Epstein situation. So what do we want? Let me tell you what I want. Let me tell you what is going to satisfy me. First of all, I don't want to fucking hear from this Justice Department. I don't want to hear from Dane Bongino. I don't want to hear from Kash Patel. I don't want to hear from Pam Biondi. I don't want to hear from the president. None of that shit. These people have zero credibility in this subject. None whatsoever. 2 weeks ago, they closed the book on it. Nothing to see here. Well, we were all excited about this, but turns out we saw it. But Dan Bongino, who spent years on the radios going, I got friends. They've shown me the names. I know the names. I can't say the names. I've seen. Now he's in charge. He's like, nothing to see here, folks. So these people, those people can't be anywhere fucking near this. Oh, the Department of Justice is going to interview Ghislaine Maxwell now. Now? They closed the case 2 weeks ago. What? They haven't spoken to her? This fucking clown show. So anything that comes out of this, bullshit. I don't care. You know what's going to come out of this? Maybe some more yard time for Ghislaine. Maybe a flat screen, better meals, visits. Maybe she gets moved to a nicer prison with a view. She holds all the fucking cards. They can't kill her. Like, could you imagine? Could you imagine if we wake up tomorrow and Ghislaine Maxwell hung herself in her cell? So they can't do that. I mean, is that a bridge too far? I think at this point, that's a bridge too far. So they can't kill her. So what are they going to do? They got her in jail for 20 years. She ain't going anywhere. They can't pardon her. They're not going to pardon her. Although, if it would get her to shut up and all that, they probably would. So what are they going to do? They're going to bring her in and they're going to say, here's what we want you to say. I want to make sure you're still not talking about Donald. Remember, he wished you well. By the way, Ghislaine Maxwell's brother gave an interview to the BBC. He wanted to thank Donald Trump for being such a good friend to Ghislaine and for wishing her well. Come on, that's weird. That's not normal. He was sending a message to her. See, I still got you. If you happen to see this, I wish her well. What's that about? All right, so I don't want the Justice Department anywhere near this nonsense. Here's what I want. I want what we could have had yesterday, but Mike Johnson said, we're going windsurfing for the summer. We'll be back in the fall when everybody's forgotten about Epstein. I got some good stuff. I'm going to distract with a whole bunch of NFL criticisms. There's going to be some rookies with strange urban hair. I'm going to have a problem with that. So we're going to distract with something nonsense. No. Could have taken a vote yesterday. They had 11 Republicans who were willing to vote with Democrats to unseal whatever Epstein information they have, right? But Mike Johnson, instead of allowing that vote to take place or allowing even a discussion, he said, happy summer, everybody. We're out of here. He closed it down. The fuck is that about? Everybody wants this. And he's, no. 11 Republicans. It's not a MAGA majority anymore as far as what Donald wants, Donald gets. There are 11 Republicans who are now siding with Democrats saying, let's get all this shit out. So that's what I want. But that's not all that I want. So what will satisfy me? Here's what will satisfy me. I want a House Un-American Committee type thing occurring in the Congress this fall. I want everybody who testified. I want victims. I want people who saw shit. And I want them speaking to a bipartisan Congress, a bipartisan committee, which, I understand that the committees are imbalanced because the party in power gets the name. I understand how it all works. But the fact is that there will be people who are not carrying water for Donald Trump in this administration directly asking questions of victims. That is the only thing that is going to satisfy me because that will be on television. And these people will have the power of the Congress behind them, which is pretty intoxicating. I mean, they are powerful when they have the votes. And in this situation, they'll have the votes. So that's what I want. I'm not looking for a name. I'm not looking for, but Tom Hanks' name wasn't on the list. I'm not looking for that. I'm looking for victims who were raped by men in power to get up and say, the chairman of Atari diddled me when I was 10. That's what I'm expecting. I'm expecting a whole bunch of not necessarily famous people, but very well-connected people, big political donors. I am expecting to hear names of these people. These are the people that I want. And, if I happen to get, a celebrity, that'll be fine too. But I ain't believing anything about Epstein anymore until I see it in front of Congress being initiated by a bipartisan committee, and I want it fucking televised. There you go. All right, that's what I'm looking for. All right, let's see here. What else do we have? Something else I need to mention. I need to mention this because we want to be fair about all this stuff too, right? So yesterday it was revealed. I'm not sure who revealed it. Not sure what news source put this out, but it doesn't seem to be getting any pushback. So I'm believing that it's real. It is. It's real. Or is it? Or is this one fake too? Turns out the story from last week, which was that Donald Trump sent Jeffrey Epstein a 50th birthday letter with a drawing of a nude, the outline of a silhouette of a nude woman, right? Donald Trump did that for his 50th birthday. Ghislaine had been calling people, Epstein's friends, saying, would you contribute to this book I'm putting together for his 50th? And Donald Trump did. Of course he did, because they ran in the same circles. Of course he did. He's not going to be, he's doing business with this guy. You know, he's not going to be the one dude that doesn't, you know, it's like when you got a coworker or somebody that you know and it's their birthday on Facebook and you feel compelled to say happy birthday, not because you really give a shit, but because you don't want to be the guy that didn't, you know, like you didn't want to be the one, you know, that's what it was. So of course, Trump wrote the letter to his buddy Epstein and he sent it on his 50th birthday. Okay, no big deal. Guess who else did that? Bill Clinton. That's right. Bill Clinton's in the birthday book too. Or is that one a lie too? Is that one a lie? Which one? The Trump one's a lie, Clinton one's true? Okay, MAGA, thanks. Appreciate it. Right. Of course fucking Bill Clinton's in there. He's a super perv. He probably knew all about what was going on there. Look at me. I'm pretty progressive-minded. I mean, I don't consider myself a liberal or a conservative. I like to think that I'm in the middle. But I am pretty progressive-minded. Look at me, progressive-minded, going, Bill Clinton ought to be looked into if his name appears. Absolutely. So anyway, that was the other big story. Bill Clinton apparently wrote a letter for the birthday book that Trump says, not true. I never wrote a picture in my life. That's what he said. I never wrote a picture in my life. This fucking guy. All right, let's move on. Story number 2. What do we got? What's the second story we're going to talk about here? Oh, yeah, all right. The big, sad, scary story, Brian Koberger. This is an opportunity for me to fuck over CNN one more time. Brian Koberger stalked and murdered 4 beautiful young people, college kids there, University of Idaho, Thanksgiving a couple of years ago. Shocking story. Ruined everybody's Thanksgiving. Everybody's sitting there carving turkey and like, hey, did you hear about those kids that got slaughtered? It was not good Thanksgiving dinner conversation. Brian Koberger was a criminologist. He was studying to be a criminologist, and he somehow had convinced himself that he could perpetrate the perfect mass crime and get away with it. How'd that work out, stupid? You big dumb dork. You look at this guy, Brian, big dumb dork. Unfuckable nerd. That's what he is. He's like, I'm going to kill some hot chicks. And he stalked them and he killed them and he slaughtered them in terrible ways. He knew there was no way. I mean, he was so bad. Like for a guy who thought he was going to commit the perfect crime, he didn't even get the trial. It's like he fucked up so much that the prosecutors were like, dude, you got to take a deal. And that deal is going to absolutely suck, but it's going to save you from the death penalty because this is a slam dunk fucking case, you idiot. So Koberger's like, bah, all right. Little pussy's afraid of the death penalty. I say, sign me up for the death penalty, man. I don't want to spend, I'm a young man, Brian Koberger. He's like in his 20s, right? He's going to spend the rest of his life being a fuck pinata for a bunch of like Aryan gangbangers. He's good. Good for him. You know what? That's good. Good for him. Prison ain't going to be good for him. Handsome, tall, svelte boy like him. Oh, yeah, they're going to love him. So here's my problem with CNN. Brian Koberger took a deal. He was sentenced to consecutive life sentences without the possibility of parole. The death penalty is off the table. That's all we need to know. Like I said, we don't need to talk about him again until he gets murdered in prison, which will be a fun day. But let's talk about why we're talking about this. This isn't a news story. What CNN did this morning, and I don't know if Fox News did it, and I don't know if MSNBC did it, but I'm only going to talk about CNN because that's what was on in the background while I was watching this all morning long. CNN dedicated hours of their programming day today to victim impact statements. That's right. For like 3 hours this morning, CNN was nothing but the parents of murdered children speaking directly to Brian Koberger, saying some really heavy shit. Like one person was like, you know what? The death penalty's off the table, but you're going to get raped in prison. I mean, it was like hardcore shit. And CNN aired this uninterrupted, no commercials. Now, I am not saying that that is not powerful content. I'm not saying that that's something that I wouldn't be interested in. What I'm saying is it's not fucking news. You know what that is? That's a packaged thing that you watch on Hulu later tonight. ABC News presents Victims' Impact Statements. It is not actual news. What it is the exploitation of parental trauma. That's what it was. CNN had their cameras trained on parents who had to talk to the murderer of their child. And CNN was like, this is news. It's not fucking news. That's not news. That is exploitation. Nothing that we see anymore is, I mean, it's, you know, if you watch this show with any regularity, you know that this is nothing that I learned in journalism school. Now, I abandoned my journalism career for a very fun life in shock radio. But I do know what is supposed to constitute a story and what is just simple exploitation for commercial purposes. That's what that was. And I hate it. Speaking of, I am watching CBS News live stream on the internet. That's what I have on in the background today. And I've told you this before. I swear to God, I think they're doing some nuanced, targeted programming here. I do. I think that the CBS News 24/7 online stream is for people with Asian fetishes because it's all Asian chicks. Are you into the news being delivered by? Hey, Joe. Have we got the news for you? Anyway. All right. Koberger, consecutive life sentences. CNN milked the horror that these families went through for our own enjoyment. Sitting there eating my English muffin. Oh, that mother really seems like she'll never be the same. Can I get some more coffee? The fuck is that? It's inappropriate, it's unnecessary, and it's CNN once again demonstrating that actual journalism and the ethics therein are the furthest thing from their mind at all times. It's just about what's going to get people to stay tuned through this Carnival fucking cruise commercial. We're going to tell you about something that could save your life, but first, how about a new Lexus and a trip to Puerto Rico on Carnival Cruises? There should be no commercials with news. There should be no commercials. News should be a fuck. Do you know what news originally was? I say this from time to time. People don't understand this. It changed with a guy by the name of Fred Silverman in the 1970s. Fred Silverman is often depicted as, you know, one of the great programming minds in the history of American television, or the devil who destroyed everything that was good about American culture. You take your pick. That's who Fred Silverman was. Fred Silverman was a guy who became the president of ABC News at a time when ABC was losing money hand over fist. He looked at the news division, which up until that point, CBS News, NBC News, ABC News, those existed as loss leaders for their networks. Those things were money pits. You didn't make money off news. Why? Why on earth would a commercial enterprise like the ABC television network willingly take a loss on their news? Because it was the deal that broadcasters made with the federal government when the broadcasters said, hey, we want to use the public airwaves to make money. So the federal government, back in the early days of radio and TV, said, you know what? You can use the public airwaves. We, the people, own these airwaves. You can use them to make money. But here's what you got to do. You got to do a little thing called community service. You've got to provide a certain amount of hours every day with the free airwaves that we're giving you. You've got to provide every week a certain amount of programming that only serves the best interests of the community that you broadcast to. There you go. So news was invented. So a guy started reading the newspaper on the news. And up until Fred Silverman took over ABC, news didn't make money. Walter Cronkite wasn't a bankable asset to CBS. What he was somebody who gave the Tiffany Network respect, critical acclaim, seriousness, right? If something big is happening, you go to Cronkite because he's serious. But they lost money. Fred Silverman comes in, looks at ABC's news division, and he says, you know, nothing says we have to lose money. We can still use the community airwaves and serve the public, but we can also, you know, do news with a little sizzle. Fred Silverman invented at that point what I guess is commonly known as the magazine news format, but it has taken on, it's everything. Everything is now that. 2020, I think, is the best example of the first attempt to commercialize news and information. And then, you got your Datelines. And then Roger Ailes was like, Jesus, that's a really good idea. What if you had a whole network that just did nothing but that? And then we got Fox News, and then CNN changed. CNN in the beginning wasn't bad. CNN used to be, Ted Turner did not want to make money off CNN. He was doing it as a public service. Watch TED. Watch the documentary on Max. It's actually very interesting. But yeah, all right. So that's what happened with news. And CNN, oh man, ring that cash register, bitches. Try and milk as much money out of the 15 people you got watching it. Nobody watches CNN. But apparently they still make money. All right, there you go. CNN spent the morning exploiting and amplifying the grief and horror that the parents of those 4 children went through when they, for 3 hours this morning, did nothing but broadcast victim impact statements. Didn't listen to them. I saw an edit of some of them, and they're pretty powerful, and they are the kind of thing that maybe you might be interested in seeing. It's just not breaking news. Sorry, it's not. It's exploitation. All right, now let's talk about a situation that's happening up there in Binghamton, New York. Are you familiar with Binghamton, New York? Probably not. It's in upstate New York. I have a friend who's from there. State University of New York, SUNY. Is that up there in Binghamton? I don't know what it is. Anyway, it's a very nice place. Upstate New York, little city, Binghamton. My chair needs to be higher. I just realized that. I need to be higher up in the frame. I don't like to hide behind this shit. All right. All right, so the chief of police in Binghamton, he's been chief of police since 2008. So it's not like, they're taking a flyer on him. He's been calling the shots legally in this town forever. He got himself sidelined after his girlfriend got into a dust-up with some neighbors. We've got video of it, and we're going to watch it. And then I got some thoughts, all right? So let's watch this situation. Here we go. We got Binghamton, New York. All right, hold on. Sorry, I got to pull it up. I wasn't ready. I'm not ready. I'm doing this all by myself. This is what happens. What is this? All right, here we go. We'll use the YouTube video. Oh, it's one of these. All right, hold on. Got to get this backed up. All right, so let me give you the setting. The chief of police and his girlfriend live next door to some rowdy teens. First of all, no teen wants to live next door to the chief of police, but here we are. The chief of police and his girlfriend live next door to some rowdy teens. Chief of police's girlfriend doesn't like the rowdy teens, so she's going to let him know. She is standing in her driveway, and she is yelling at these rowdy teens. And these rowdy teens, well, they're assholes. They're not being respectful. All right, we're gonna watch it. All right, so that's what's going on. So this we'll call her a Karen, who is the chief of police's girlfriend. She's getting into it with her neighbors. All right, let's watch this. This is from Binghamton, and then we'll break down exactly what happened after this. How long is it? There we go. All right, here we go. There you go. You see her? See her right there? See, look at it. Looks like some kind of police vehicle in the background. Here we go.
Go in the crib.
Go in the crib.
Yeah, that's what you
Go in the crib.
Go in the crib.
Go in the crib.
Yeah, that's what you
Go in the crib.
Go in my crib.
Go in the crib.
You don't even pay
Go in
for
the
this.
crib.
Go in the house.
Go in the crib.
This is my estate.
Go in the crib.
I don't care.
Go in the crib.
We are
Go in the
police.
crib.
We are
Go in the
police.
crib. I don't.
All right, so what she's saying is she's yelling at them apparently for making too much noise. They're telling her, go in the crib, go in the crib. They're basically saying, get out of here, get out of here, get out of here. And now she's saying, I'm the police, or we're the police, right? Because her boyfriend is the chief of police. She's dropping that one. She's like, we're the police. You do what we say. Okay, girlfriend of cop. Sure, whatever.
Go in the crib.
This is my estate.
Go in the crib.
I don't care.
Go in the crib.
We are
Go in the
police.
crib.
We are
Go in the
police.
crib. I don't care.
Yeah, what do you do?
I don't
Section
care.
8?
I don't care. You tight. You mad. You mad.
All right, so that's troubling. It just shows where her head is at and where she goes. She kind of went with some poverty shaming. She said, what are you, Section 8? Right? Like black dudes on the porch. She's like, what are you? What do you come from a long line of underachievers who can't get their own mortgage and now must rely on the government for subsidized housing? Right? That's what she's saying. She went a little racial. I'm not, you know what? I'm not going to say racial. I'm not going to say she went racial. I'm going to say she went troubling. Let's just say that. She went troubling.
Go in the house. Go in the house. I don't care.
Yeah, what do you do?
I don't
Touch
care.
me?
I don't care. You tight. You mad. You mad. Go in the house. Go in the house. Go in the house. Go in the house.
All right. All right. All right. So you see what happened? She's being humiliated. They're just pointing and laughing at her. She's raging. She's out of control emotionally. She's like, and they're just pointing and laughing. Go in the crib. God, that's frustrating. I mean, I've been there. My son has done that to me. I mean, other people have too, but the most recent experience is when I get really mad and my son just laughs at me. Oh, it's infuriating. It only makes things worse. So she was going back into the house. She was leaving. And then she popped. Then she couldn't take the humiliation anymore. So remember, two teenage kids on the porch, and she has now decided she's not going in. She's going to charge their porch. Let's see how this works out for her.
What? Come up here.
All right, she's coming in real hot, man. Now let's talk about what just happened. She has just aggressively trespassed onto somebody else's porch. At this moment, this woman coming in like this, uninvited, she can get the fuck knocked out, right? This dude could just the minute she gets to that top step, he can boop. She's trespassing. She's aggressively threatening him. She's coming in. There is no way. I mean, look, if he's a cop and not a black kid, because I know some of you are like, well, a black kid shouldn't hit the woman. If he was a cop, he'd be allowed to shoot her. She is coming in hot.
Touch me,
All right, so now, oh, by the way, this back here, this is the chief of police. Hey, big help you were, dude. Big help. Here's the chief of police. This is the guy who's in trouble for all of this. Let's continue to watch. All right, now she's on the porch. Let's see if she gets physical. Yeah, she sure does. She gets physical right away. She took a swing at him. First thing, she comes in hot, runs up the steps on somebody else's porch, and she gets physical with him. This ain't going to end well for her. You know it's not.
What? Touch me. Touch me.
Yeah, there she is. All right, she got knocked the fuck out after he said touch me, and she swung at him, and he knocked her the fuck out. All right, now trailing behind, comes the chief of police, who you would think would be, well, let's just watch.
What you talking about? What you talking about? What you talking about? I'm not playing with you. Get off my.
All right, so you see the chief now. The chief is picking her up, dragging her off the porch, not saying anything. Now, the chief ain't saying anything. The two young men on the porch are chirping like a couple of minor birds. They are, get out of here, get out. They are chirping. This is the chief of police. He ain't acting like the chief of police. He's acting, well, we'll get into that.
Porch. Get off my 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 porch. You came on my property, you talked to me first. Get off my porch.
No lies told. You came on my property, you assaulted me first. No lies told. This woman walked into this.
And I'm a minor. Get off my porch. Get off my porch. Get her off my porch. Get her off my porch.
Yeah, by the way, it should be mentioned that the person who knocked her out, who she attacked, was 16 years old. Yeah. She's got charges against a minor now. Oh, it ain't. Trust me.
My porch. Get off my porch. On the crib.
All right, that's it. All right, that's good. Look, so we've seen the video. All right, very good. All right, so we've seen the video there. Now let's get into the story, because that guy, the chief of police, who said nothing, who simply went in and cleaned up the mess caused by his girlfriend, has been suspended from the police force. He is no longer the chief of police. He was chief of police in 2008. And I want to make a bit of a defense of him. I thought he behaved perfectly. I thought that the way now you look, if you think, what do you mean? He's the chief of police. He should have started saying, I'm the chief of police. He should have. No, he shouldn't have. That's called escalating the situation. What this guy did was he recognized that this was fucked up. He also recognized that his girlfriend is the one who instigated it. He also recognized that she was the one that was going to catch a charge for running up on that porch and attacking a minor. So he's keeping his mouth shut and he is getting her out of there. And yet, he's the one that seems to be having a career issue out of this. New York police chief has been placed on leave after girlfriend attacks teen neighbors in viral video. Let's see. He's been temporarily suspended from duty after a viral video appeared to show his girlfriend getting into a bloody brawl with a teenage neighbor on their porch. Binghamton Police Chief Joseph Zikuski was placed on leave Monday pending a review following the altercation on Saturday. It says here, a video of the altercation went viral after it was posted to Facebook by a woman who identified herself as the mother of the 16-year-old. All right. So the mother of the 16-year-old posts on Facebook, my baby got beaten up, or whatever it was, right? So now let's take a pause on that. And let's talk about her 16-year-old. She's a piece of shit mom with a garbage child. That's what we saw in the video. That fucking kid wasn't respectful. That kid was an asshole. That kid antagonized it. Now, he may not be guilty of assault because she assaulted him first, but that kid is a piece of shit. So, mama, you're a piece of shit. You raised that. Now, I know you're not criminally in the wrong here, and you're going to get a chance to, exude a pound of flesh from your white police chief neighbor and all that stuff, and cool. But you're a garbage person, Mom. You're a garbage person. Your son is a garbage person. First of all, your fucking neighbor tells you to turn it down and you're 16. You turn it fucking down. Why? Because you don't get in trouble. Not necessarily from the neighbor. You don't need the neighbor talking to your mom. This is not a situation where the mother is feared by these kids. These kids are assholes. All right. Now, so is Karen. So is the one. She's an asshole too. She obviously can't control herself. And if I'm being honest, you keep your mouth shut. Your neighbor kids are being assholes. Okay, keep your mouth shut. You don't confront with them. What do you think? It's 1950. We're going to be like, oh, so sorry, Mrs. Johnson. Can I mow your lawn this weekend to make up for it? That fucking shit ain't happening anymore. These kids are thugs. These kids are probably bangers. You think they're going to listen to some old white lady who's telling them to turn it down? Stupid shit across the board with this story. It says here that Zikuski, who is the chief of police, he attempted to follow closely behind his girlfriend. Susan Rice is her name. Not the former director of national intelligence, but Zikuski attempted to follow closely behind as Rice ran up the stairs of the neighbor's property and appeared to strike one of the boys after he taunted her, saying, "Touch me." And she did. She got knocked the fuck out. One of the teens appeared to hit Rice, causing her to drop to the floor and leaving her white shirt splattered in blood. Yeah, we didn't get to see that, but there are other pictures where she's got blood all over. She got popped right in the fucking mouth. She got fucking bleeding all over. Well, control yourself, Karen. You don't get to just talk to people like that in these streets. These streets are scary as fuck, Karen. She really did. She thought, there's no way they would hit me. I see this a lot. I've been watching this weekend. I fell into one of those body cam holes, bunny holes on YouTube. You ever watch these things? Oh, they're so great. They're so great. I always make the mistake of watching raw body cam footage from police stops. I always make the mistake of watching that on YouTube just before I go to bed. And then I'm up for an hour and a half because there's always another one. YouTube gets me. As soon as the video's over, the next one is like, hey, if you like this, you'll really like this. And I'm like, yeah, you're right, YouTube. Boom, let's watch another 15-minute video at 1:30 in the morning. I love them, the body cams. I love them. I love all the bad mistakes. I love all of the emotional missteps that so many of us make when we're put under pressure. Can't handle the pressure. Anyway, let's continue. Let's see here. The mother of the teen. Let's go back to the mom. She hit my baby. My straight A, AP, captain of the baseball team, baby. Your baby ain't none of that shit. I can tell from the way he was talking to that lady. He's garbage. The mother of the teen resident said that she pressed charges on Friday. She said, I'm tired of these privileged ass people acting like they can't do no wrong, the woman added. I agree with you, Mom. I am also. We just talked about the whole Epstein thing. I am with you, sister. These privileged ass people thinking they can do whatever they want. The woman, Susan Rice, she was arrested by officials from the Johnson City Police Department, which is important to note. It is important to note that the chief of police who lived next door was not chief of police of the town the crime occurred. So he was out of his jurisdiction anyway. But I am actually pleased that even though he's out of his jurisdiction, that he didn't try to pull the whole, I'm a policeman, or he didn't go for his gun or whip out his badge. He didn't do any of that shit. That chief of police in the video that we saw behaved exactly the way you would want your chief of police to behave when he's found himself in a situation where the girl he's banging is a nut job. He behaved well, and he got, whatever. He got in trouble. He got benched because of that video, because of the actions of his girlfriend. Not him. He cleaned it up. The chief of police didn't even talk shit back to the kid as he was picking up his bloodied girlfriend off the porch. The kid's like, yeah, you coming me. Now get off my porch. Get off my porch. The only thing the chief of police said was he looked up at the kid and he said, I'm trying to get her off your porch. I'll suspend him. No, man, he did everything I think you're supposed to do. He didn't escalate the situation. He managed the situation. He knew that this was a fucked up thing, and he especially knew, because he is a cop, he knew that it was his girlfriend who had just broken the law, and she paid for it, so he got her out of there. Rice was arrested by officials from the Johnson City Police Department on Monday afternoon and charged with endangering the welfare of a child. We got to fix that shit. This is where judges are important. You know, like a judge sitting on the bench and they bring this fucking kid up and the prosecutor's like, she attempted to endanger the welfare of this child. Meanwhile, he's got like a Fast Money tattoo on his face and cornrows and, he's fucking all tatted up and he's got a rap sheet for stealing cars and radios. And the judge is like, yeah, fuck that child. He's 16. He's living life like a 35-year-old ex-con. Trying to tell me he's a child, so we're going to toss that out. Fucking child. That's what judges should do. That's called common sense. I understand why these rules to protect children are in place. This dude was not acting like a child. He doesn't carry himself like a child. 16 is an arbitrary number. Some people at 16 are still 12. Others are 40. So, let's see. She was released with an appearance ticket. All right, so she didn't get busted. She got booked and then released with an appearance ticket. Before her arrest, Mayor Craham of Binghamton said that he was concerned by Rice's comments in the video. That's the Section 8 thing. That's all it is. That's it. That's the only thing that she said that a mayor in a racially diverse city might have some concerns about. Wait, are you telling me that my chief of police dresses or dates a woman who is concerned about people exploiting the Section 8 process? Well, that police chief must be sidelined. Whatever, you fucking politician. Stand by. How about stand by your police chief? How about going, yeah, that chick seems a little bit troubling, but my police chief acted in a way that made us all proud. And he did. I'm troubled by her language and the implication that she is in any way above the law because of a personal association with a member of law enforcement, the mayor said. Well, then why did you guilt by association? So now the police chief who did nothing, that you could see on there? Her? Your problem is with her? So suspend the dude that's dating her? Fuck you, man. They're not even married. What's wrong with you? He's just banging her. He's just, Jesus. Let's see. Zakuski has been the Binghamton police chief since 2008. Let's see. The city of Binghamton Assistant Police Chief John Ryan will serve as acting chief in Zakuski's absence. All right, there you go. See? Choose your girlfriends well, man. Choose your girlfriends well. I had one girlfriend. Yeah, she was great. I had one girlfriend who was two. I had two who were trouble like this. I dated a girl named Tammy, who I'm sure would have kicked my ass. She was so fucking tough. She was a single mom, and she was tall. First of all, she was tall. She was like a bigger girl, not heavy. She was like a bikini model. She was like just really good looking. But she was tough, man. She was tough. She would fight. All right, so I liked her, but she could be a loose cannon. But here's the thing. She wasn't a drunk loose cannon. That's the women that you got to worry about is the ones that get drunk and then become loose cannons. No, you don't want that. You want one is a loose cannon. You want one that's going to go off in a Target, right, at customer service, completely sober. That's the good kind of feisty. I like that. That's what Tammy was. And then there was another one. Well, look, if I'm being honest, and again, she's an incredibly successful woman at this point. Incredibly successful. Corner office, big, drives a fancy German car. She's fucking baller of a chick. But my son's mom would throw down back in the day. My son's mom could kick ass. She was tough. See, I remember we were dating once. Well, we dated for a while, and then we got married. I remember when we were dating, she once said to me, "You don't understand." Like, we were in the car, and she turned to me. Something had happened where she had gotten really mad or something, and I didn't really recognize that. She turned to me, and she said, "Oh, you don't understand what happens when a white girl goes ghetto." I go, "Oh, boy. I think I just saw it." Anyway, I thought that was attractive. It was an attractive feature. Again, she wasn't like go off the handle when she's drunk. She was more just like, fuck with me and I'll go nuts. This woman that we were just watching there, she just seems like a crazy girlfriend. Like, none of the two girls that I dated who I think were, loose cannons, none of the girls that I dated would have been in this situation. First of all, they were both cool as fuck. So, like, if a bunch of, black kids are having a party on the front porch, they're just going to be like, "Oh, that sucks." They'll put on headphones and, do a yoga workout or something. It's not a problem. This woman had a problem. All right, let's keep going. What else do we got? Let's talk about another couple that has a problem. Another fine New York State couple. No, I'm sorry. This is Danbury, Connecticut. Same thing, Mel. Same damn thing. All right. You guys ever fly JetBlue? You guys, JetBlue is kind of, it's a punchline, right? It's the punchline airline, right? Every bad comic that is doing, airline humor these days, it's always, "Hey, so I was on JetBlue." I don't even know I fly Southwest. Look, I fly two places. I fly between Dallas and Chicago, and it's Southwest, and it's wonderful. So I'm not all that familiar with JetBlue. I don't believe I've ever flown on JetBlue. However, here's a story. A couple of people on JetBlue. I don't understand the Mile High Club. That thing, that long rumored tradition of people having sex on airplanes. Like, if you're in the Mile High Club because you banged a supermodel on your private jet while flying over Nebraska at 30,000 feet, that's all right. You write about that in your book. That's something. But if you're banging some cocktail waitress in a shitter of a JetBlue plane, you're just a fucking pervert. You're just somebody who doesn't fit with normal society. And that's who these two people are. Cops arrest a couple for Mile High sex act on a JetBlue flight. I think it's important that we get to see these people while we talk about them. It's always nice to be able to have some frame of reference. There they are. Look at them. Look at these two. Okay, first of all, let me tell you about this dude. He's a construction worker, and he looks like a fucking moron, doesn't he? Just look at him. Just imagine sitting in a bar next to this guy and what the conversation is going to be like. I mean, he just seems like, hey, Pugs, what am I doing here? I'm just judging him sight unseen. I'm a great judge of character. All I got to do is look at somebody, and I can tell you pretty good, accurate what he is. He's, first of all, here's what we know. We know he's the kind of guy that gets a blowjob on an airplane in front of everybody. All right, so not so much of a stretch to say he wouldn't be an interesting conversationalist while seated at a tavern stool next to you. That's all I'm saying. Now look at her. She ain't hot enough to be pulling this shit. Sorry, baby. You look rode hard, put up wet, as they say. All right. They're a married couple, though, so that's good. They're keeping everything, I don't know. They're keeping it fresh, I suppose, in their marriage. All right, let's read about these two freaks. Here we go. A married Connecticut couple is facing felony charges after joining the Mile High Club on a JetBlue flight Saturday morning. Trista Riley, that's Trista Riley. She's a good Irish girl. Good Irish whore. Trista Riley, 42, and Christopher Arnold, 43. Fun fact, I've never known somebody with the last name of Arnold who wasn't a total dirtbag. That's right. Wow, Pugs, that's a weird observation. How many fucking Arnolds do you know? Well, there's a whole family of Arnolds where I was raised. Cousins and uncles, and they all have the fucking name, and they all were bicycle thieves. They were all, if something was missing, if your car stereo got robbed, it's a fucking Arnold. So it doesn't surprise me that this clown's name is Arnold. Christopher Arnold, 43. They were traveling to Sarasota, Florida from JFK in New York when they allegedly engaged in, quote, a lewd and lascivious exhibition. All right, I can tell you the details. Here's what was going on. All right, so the plane is filled with families and kids and all of that shit. These two perverts, they sit in their seat and, people are moving about the aisles or whatever. I don't know. What do they say with the Southwest? Feel free to move about, or whatever. You know what they say? Feel free to move about the country. Anyway, people are moving around, and this woman is taking her two children to the bathroom, and they are walking down the aisles, and this woman notices that this chick here, Trista, is jerking Christopher Arnold off right there in the plane seat. There's people walking around. She's just like jerking them off. Yeah, this chick. Look at her. What's going on? So the mom, of course, is completely freaked out by this, and she's in the right to be freaked out by this, not just because her children are being exposed to it. But I will tell you that if I came across this on an airplane and my children weren't there, I'd be freaked out by it. I'd be freaked out by this flagrant ignoring of what we in civilized society take for granted as something you shouldn't do. All right? What they don't know, you can't jerk off on a plane around people. Who the fuck are these people? Who are these people? I would freak out. So I don't even need my kid there. But in this case, this woman's got a kid, two kids taking her to the bathroom. She goes to the flight attendant. She says, "Hey, see those dirtbaggy looking people? Yeah, she's jerking them off right there. Did it right in front of my kid." And so the stewardess, what are they called? Flight attendants? And there's something we're supposed to call them now. Fucking PC bullshit. The sky waitress walks down the aisle, finds these two, and now when the sky waitress shows up, she notices that her head, the woman's head, Trista, is now buried under a blanket on his lap, and it's bobbing up and down. Yeah. Oh, did you think this was going to be like one of those like lame old trying to have sex in the shitter stories? No, these fucks were doing it right there in the aisle. It says here when Brian Zepp, if that is your real name, Brian Zepp, Brian Zepp, the JetBlue flight attendant, walked to Mrs. Riley's seating area in the 25th row. He witnessed her making up and down movements with her head while covered face down in a blanket on Mr. Arnold's lap. She's blowing him. Oh, yeah, don't worry, Trista. The blanket, we have no idea what you're doing. Cops noted that further investigation indicated that Miss Riley was seen by two underage youths performing oral sex and jerking Mr. Arnold. By the way, that's from the police report. Jerking. Apparently, there's a fancy word for blowjob, right? Oral sex. Like, if you want to be clinical about it, it's like, well, you're being charged with inappropriate oral sex. Like, you don't say you're being charged with a blowjob. You don't say that. You make it sound better. Apparently, we don't have a word for jerking. Because it's the charges engaging in performing underage youth performing oral sex and jerking. In a witness statement, another female passenger who was flying also with children said that during takeoff, she spotted a woman later identified as Riley jerking off her male companion. She noticed that two kids were watching them. I bet. These two kids. It's like a scene from a John Hughes movie, right? Where it's just cut to the two kids and their jaws are dropped. Cops noted that further investigation indicated that Mrs. Riley, blah, 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 was seen by kids. Riley, let's learn about her. Riley is a medical receptionist and Arnold a general contractor. They were arrested upon landing in Sarasota. The duo, who live in Danbury, Connecticut, were booked into county jail, from which they were freed Monday. Prosecutors agree to the couple's release on their own recognizance while they investigate jurisdiction. I don't know what that means. Who's going to file? Like, I guess if they're doing this on an airplane and they're between multiple jurisdictions, I guess maybe that's a thing. Anyway, there you have it. Look. See what I said earlier. You know me on this show. I don't think there's anything wrong with a woman being a strong, independent whore. A woman wants to use her sexuality any way she wants. Any man, woman, or anybody who decides that they want to criticize her for it can go fucking kick rocks. Because your body and the way you choose to live your life sexually is one of the only things that we have total control over. So yeah, I'm saying it. You might think the word whore is bad. I don't. I think it's a strong word to describe a woman who don't give a fuck what you think of her. And I love that. But ain't nobody got room for a dumb whore. Okay? Trista is a dumb whore. You dumb whore. Look, I love the idea that you'd be willing to blow me while we're, alone. There you go. That's the key. I love that you're down for this kind of thing when we're alone. But we're on a fucking JetBlue flight, you dumb whore. All right. It's nuance. There are differences. Can't just... All right. What else do we have? People enjoy whores, but nobody likes a dumb whore. I just end it with that. All right, there we go. All right, how about this story? So one of the cool things about being here in North Texas is that we are the land of opportunity. You got to see it. If you don't see it, I'd say you're missing out on an opportunity of a lifetime. What do I mean by that? Well, I mean, by any measure, statistical, governmental data, all of that sort of stuff indicates that North Texas is the fastest growing place in the entire United States. Texas in general has seen a whole lot of people move here over the past few years, but North Texas specifically, I moved here to Texas 2 weeks after September 11th, 2001. And just in the time that I've been here, 24 years now, just in the time that I've been here, the changes are astronomical. It's insane. The world used to stop at the Bush. If you were taking the tollway, the Dallas North Tollway, and you were taking it up north, everything stopped basically at the Bush. Now we got shit all the way up to the border with Oklahoma. We've got McKinney, we've got Allen, we've got Little Elm, we've got Alyssa, we've got all of these places that are just exploding suburbs. I came from a place, we thought we knew how to do suburbs. I came from a place, Chicago and the surrounding areas. Our suburbs, we had maybe 100 of them, and they all had like 30,000 people in it and this, and we were like, that's a big suburb. You've got 40,000 people. Wow. It's like the average suburb in the North Texas area has like 100,000 people to start. So yeah, this place is exploding. Now, why do I say, if you're smart enough to see it, that this is a good thing and it's an indication of opportunity to come? Because these are all communities that don't have the things that all established communities do. You know, they don't have their favorite bar, their favorite pizza restaurant, their favorite deli, their favorite coffee shop. These are all opportunities for people who live here to suddenly go, you know what? This place is growing. There's money here. There's money coming in. There's new people. This is opportunity that, quite frankly, Oklahoma doesn't have. All right? Louisiana doesn't have this. Texas does. So the idea, the attitude that you see, and again, this is a programmed attitude. This is not a real attitude. This is programming. People say things so that they can, I'm going to say this, and then I'm going to fit in. Right? That's what they do. We say shit to fit in. We hear something that sounds good, and we just always have it loaded, and we're going to say that. And what I'm talking about here is I'm talking about all these people who are like, I don't want anybody moving to Texas. Oh, shut up, you fucking idiot. They're just gonna do California, my Texas. I'm stupid. Shut up, man. Shut up. That's good. People, population equates to power, equates to influence on the global scale. Come on, man. Dallas-Fort Worth, right now, we're like the 5th largest market in the country. Do you know by 2050, there are people out there who say that Dallas-Fort Worth could be number 1? Larger than New York, larger than Los Angeles. I don't have a problem with that, because with that comes unbelievable opportunity for us. And we're the people who live here now. Let's exploit all of these people coming in here. Let's get their money. Let's make them loyal customers to whatever it is that we got here. So stop it with the whole fucking these people coming and moving here. Shut up. It's just such a stupid thing to say. You don't know these people. You're not going to run into these people. And by the way, it suggests that everyone that's here, a native Texan, is awesome. And we know that ain't fucking true. There's a lot of natural-born Texans who are just dickheads. And if we can offset that with some cool people from elsewhere, why do you have a fucking problem with that, you xenophobic idiot? So that's programming. Anyway, much of the highly publicized let's move to Texas stuff came from the far right, came from MAGA influencers. It came from people who just couldn't handle California anymore and the desert, the homeless people. So they all moved to Austin. They all followed Joe Rogan. And, they all couldn't afford 14 million lakeside estates like Joe Rogan. So a lot of them aren't really having the welcome to Texas experience that Rogan got, and they're upset. So let's get into this story. It's a story about celebrities, particularly right-wing influencers, and I don't even consider them celebrities, but right-wing influencers who are now talking shit about our great state. It says here, conservative stars now regret leaving California to follow Joe Rogan to Texas. It's not Los Angeles, one of them said. Yeah, no fucking kidding, it ain't Los Angeles. Los Angeles is awesome. I love Los Angeles. Los Angeles is cool as fuck to visit, to go for a weekend, to go for like a few days and tour and go to the beach and see the mountains. It's great. I don't want to fucking live there. All right, I'm glad that I live here. This is awesome. But this whole idea that there is nothing redeemable about California other than everything. Have you ever been to California? It is like the most beautiful place on earth. Have you ever looked at the California coastline, how it goes from rocky cliffs to these beautiful bays to these wide beaches? It's really cool, man. California is cool. No, a bunch of libtards running Hollywood. Oh, shut the fuck up. All right. Ronald Reagan and Richard Nixon were Californians, you fucking conservative hypocrites. Anyway. All right. So let's talk about some of the people who are shitting on our city now that they've moved, or our state now that they've moved here. Joe Rogan was the first big star to make the move, with podcasting titan fleeing Los Angeles and moving his family into a Austin area home. By the way, he's got a $14 million mansion. That's, man, I could live in Death Valley if you build me a $14 million mansion. Tim Dillon, how about Tim Dillon? Do we like Tim Dillon? I think Tim Dillon's funny. I think he's real funny. I don't think he's as great as some people do. Like, he's not like a top 20 comic, but I think Tim Dillon has his moments. He's funny. Tim Dillon was the first to jump ship with the Thanksgiving star fleet. Thanksgiving? What is Thanksgiving? Is that something he's in? I don't know what that is. Anyway, Tim Dillon was the first to jump ship, fleeing Austin after just a few months living in Texas. Tim Dillon had followed Rogan to Austin in 2020, only to make an emergency exit by the end of that year after discovering that Texas didn't have enough restaurants. What? There's a lot of restaurants here. Here's the problem with Texas restaurants. All right, if this is going to be Tim Dillon's critique, here's what I will say. And I do kind of get what he's saying. Texas has every chain, middle of the road, uninspiring restaurant you could want. All of them. If it's one of 150 restaurants in a chain, there's going to be one of them here in Dallas. What Dallas doesn't have is the one-off legacy awesome spot. It's got some, like there are a couple, because it'd be crazy to say that there aren't any. There are a couple, but not the way you find in New York, Boston, Chicago, Los Angeles, San Francisco. Texas is a very plastic state in that regard, simply because I think that a lot has expanded very quickly here. And I think that the people that moved in first were the people with, 200 restaurants from coast to coast. All right, so Tim Dillon says there's too few restaurants. Dillon followed me. Let's see. Now, speaking about Austin, Tim Dillon says it's a horrible city without a soul. He told fellow comedian Whitney Cummings. He says it's not the live music capital of America. It's 3 heroin addicts busking with guitars. There's zero talent in Texas in any capacity, he raged. There's 3 restaurants that are good, and I've been to all of them twice. All right, so this Tim Dillon shitting on Texas, moved here to follow Rogan, doesn't like it, pining to go back to California. In another interview, Dillon said that Austin can't be compared to New York, Chicago, Los Angeles, Boston, cities like that. He also told the H3 podcast that the city was filled with homeless people, had a sewage-colored lake, and that most of the residents of Austin would get drunk and shoot each other for fun. Rogan's longtime friend, comedian, and MMA fighter Brendan Schaub has also come to regret his move to Austin. 42-year-old Schaub relocated with his family to the city earlier this year, but recently confessed on his Fighter and the Kid podcast that he was heartbroken to leave Los Angeles and misses the city terribly. I miss my community. I miss my routines, Schaub admitted. He also shared a bleak story about meeting another Los Angeles transplant in Texas who warned him that it might take a long time for him to acclimate to life in Texas. All right. So what about that? So what about, I can speak with some authority on this because I was new here once and I've now been here decades. Trust me, I would never, one of the things that I do know is that I would never feel comfortable calling myself a Texan because I wouldn't want to insult my other friends who are native Texans who are different from me. That being born and raised here makes you different. Being born and raised where I was on the south side of Chicago, Irish Catholic, all of that makes you different. So we are who we are. Okay. So what about this idea that when you move here from somewhere else, it takes you 3 years to get acclimated? I wonder if I have a biased view of this, because the acclimation for me moving to a new city like Dallas was way different than I think, a guy who gets transferred here, for his programming job. I mean, I had a radio show. I had a popular radio show. I had an equal partner who I could share this experience with, who, if we were out experiencing something new to us because we weren't Texan, there was somebody else that I could be like, hey, this is a little straight, right? And also the having a radio show made it a lot easier to make friends. So my acclimation to Texas is probably sped up because of specific circumstances that I enjoyed. So if you're a regular person and you're coming out here 3 years to, man, I don't know if that's true. It's just like living anywhere else. I mean, I don't hear the accent. That was the first thing. That was the very first thing. So for like the first couple of weeks that I was here, I couldn't understand what anybody was saying. You people don't think you have an accent. Y'all got a really strong accent. You don't know it. You don't know it because everybody you talk to every day also has it, so it sounds normal. But there's a really strong North Texas accent there's a little Oklahoma in there. Sometimes you get a little Louisiana, but it's different than my weird ass accent. And yes, I recognize that I also have a weird accent. When I first came down here, I mean, my God, I still talk like I was from Chicago. So you got a weird accent. But that went away. I remember remember I moved here 2 weeks after September 11th. And by Thanksgiving, so what is that, like a month or so? So by Thanksgiving, the accent, I started to be able to understand. Like it's something clicked and I'm like, okay, it's not a problem anymore. I can now communicate with people. All right, 3 years, whatever. Tim Dillon says he doesn't got 3 years to have Texas take to him, so he's moving on. Tim Dillon is out. How about Shane Gillis, who I absolutely love, and this hurts me a little. Comedian Shane Gillis is another one of the people who followed Rogan. He also shared a similar sentiment about living in Texas. Gillis has repeatedly complained about the homeless situation in Austin, calling the drug-crazed vagrants in town screaming runners. Here's a quote now from Shane Gillis. Texas fucking blows, he told comedian Andrew Schultz while sharing a story about how the power in his Austin home went out for 3 days during a bad storm. It's hot as fuck. The second we ran out of power, the house was 90 degrees and then the bugs came in immediately. The house was filled with bugs. Gillis moved to Austin back in 2023 because Texas has no income tax. Yeah, that's why a lot of these people move here. He also wanted to be closer to Rogan and the stand-up club, the Comedy Mothership. Even celebrities with no connection to Rogan or the comedy scene have voiced regrets about moving to Texas. Male model Lucky Blue Smith and his influencer wife Nara left LA for Dallas in 2022. All right, so now they're here in Dallas. Who are these two? Well, apparently he's somebody that people knows. He's a male model named Lucky Blue Smith, and his wife is an influencer. His wife is Nara. Here's what they are. They're like famous in like weird internet circles for being like in one of these like trad wife relationships, where they live like it's 1940, which fine. You get two people who want to live like that. Shut your mouth, man. Let people live the way they want to live. Of course, I don't want a wife that, is just taking. I personally, in a relationship, would like to be in an equal relationship with somebody that I could share life, the highs and the lows with. I don't want to be the dictator. I don't want a trad wife. Don't need it. Although I honestly, I wouldn't mind if she did the cooking. I mean, I would like her to know how to cook and want to do the cooking, but I don't need her to clean. We can both clean, right? I can do my own dishes. I think that's fair. Shopping, I love to shop. I'll do the shopping, right? Laundry, babe. Could you get the laundry? Yeah, I'll tell you what. You do the laundry, and I'll take. If anybody breaks in the middle of the night, I'll be the first line of defense. How's that? And you do laundry. I'll live with the specter of being shot in my driveway by a fleeing burglar. Okay, that's the trade-off. All right, so these trad people, they were in Dallas. His wife, Nera. However, within just 2 years, the couple have announced that they were leaving the city for Connecticut so that they could be closer to New York. Don't you mean New York? You MAGA right-wing trad people moving back to New York? You fucking love New York, don't you? Yeah, all the shit talking, all Los Angeles, all the shit talking. You fucking people love it. You know why? Because Texas is cool, Austin is cool, but it ain't fucking Manhattan or Hollywood, okay? It's just not. So when people move down and they're like, I'm leaving, my house in the Hollywood Hills with 360 views of the mountains, the city, and the beach. I'm leaving that for Austin because Austin is superior. Shut the fuck up. You're making a weird, short-sighted political decision that uprooted your family, and now you're like, hey, Austin doesn't have all the things Los Angeles has. No, it doesn't. Because Los Angeles is fucking Los Angeles, and Austin is a really cool town in Texas that has a homeless problem. But, that's another thing. That is a Texas thing. I hear these people, they're like, God, I don't like Austin anymore because of the homeless problem. I'm like, have you been to fucking Plano? What are you talking about, Austin? Like, Austin is this, one-off city where we have a homeless problem? The homeless problem in Texas is everywhere. And why do I bring up Plano? Because Plano is my son's hometown. My hometown on the south side of Chicago was Orland Park. We had no fucking homeless people ever. And there still aren't homeless people gathered on street corners. Every stoplight in Plano has a homeless guy coming over. It's like you're in fucking Manhattan. What is going on here? I didn't have that in the suburbs. I still don't see that in the suburbs of Chicago. Homeless people are all over downtown Chicago, but they don't go out to the suburbs. They're not spread out the way they are here in Texas. And I also understand that that is just simply a result of a permanent homeless community here in Texas. Other places, the northern cities, we don't have permanent homeless communities. See, because it goes to 50 below zero in November, and all of our homeless people who enjoy our summers, they come down to Texas and Florida for the winters, and they stay. So, Texas's homeless problem is more of an indication of weather, I think, than some special issue that Austin has that other places don't. Okay? There's a homeless problem everywhere in this country. Yes, I have kind of noticed that the homeless problem is a little bit worse here in Texas. When I go home to Chicago and all of that, you see the homeless people, but you don't see these encampments like you see in Los Angeles or here. I mean, that's some fucked up shit. It's got to be the weather. It's got to be because it's too cold in Chicago, which is, hey, look at us. Look at us. We freeze our balls off from, November through March, but, we got no homeless people. So that's good. Okay, so Lucky Blue and his trad wife influencer, Nara, they were here in Dallas. They moved with 2 years. They wanted to be closer to New York City. In a TikTok video, trad wife Nara said that living in Connecticut would allow the couple to own a large house where they could raise their family while still being closer to a big city for all the... You lived in Dallas! What the fuck? First of all, the price of houses in the New York suburbs of Connecticut is way more expensive than Dallas. Holy shit. I mean, $2 million in Connecticut gets you a fucking shitty ranch house. Or, $2 million in Connecticut in the suburbs outside of New York will get you a bullshit ranch house that's 50 years old. $2 million in Frisco gets you a goddamn estate worthy of an NFL QB1. What are you talking about? We moved out of Dallas because Connecticut was more affordable. What the fuck? That's stupid. You just didn't like it here. You didn't like the people. You didn't like the Southern attitude. You, Mr. what's his name? Something Blue, the male model and your trad wife. You don't like Texans. That's what it is. You had a difficult time making friends because you're fucking weird. Because you're weird people and Texans are nice people. Yes, you may disagree with, some Texans politically or whatever, but Texans I don't want to get into that. We're nice people, and you don't seem like nice people. That's why you didn't enjoy Dallas, you fucks. The 31-year-old fled her. No. Do we care about some influencer MAGA trans woman named Blair White? Who the fuck is this? I've never heard of this person. Earlier this week, transgender conservative influencer Blair White announced that she was leaving Texas after 4 years to return to her home state of California. The 31-year-old fled Hollywood in 2021 amid rising homelessness in the state's tyrannical COVID policies. She moved to Austin. However, she announced just this past week that she's ready to return to California after spending the last 4 years in Texas. Addressing the major life change in a YouTube video, the transgender social media star shared her surprise reason behind the shock relocation. She says, I was born in California, so it's my home for better or worse. I am Chico born, Blair said. Oh, fuck you. You made a big thing about leaving and abandoning and turning your back on your state instead of fighting to make it better. You didn't fight to make it better. You ran like a cunt. Excuse me. I fucking hate these people. And now you're going back. Because what? I don't like Texas food. Ugh. There's a picture of this chick. Oh, wait, here. How about the weird Dallas trad people? Let's look at them. These are the people who are shitting on our city because it ain't as cool as Connecticut. Here we go. Nope, don't need that. Here we go. All right, look at this. Here's the trad couple. Thought she'd be hotter. I really did. I thought she'd be hotter. She's not hot. I wouldn't date that. That's not something that appeals to me. I really thought that she would be a smoke show. Look at these two idiots. These people look like they would fit perfectly well here in Dallas. That bullshit uptown scene in Dallas where everybody is beautiful and everybody. She's not, though. I don't like her. Look at her. What's she doing? She making him something? I don't know. Anyway, okay, there's them. Oh, there they are again. Look at them out there in some cool-ass Dallas club. Look, I hate these people. Look at them. Good riddance. Get the fuck out of this city. There's too many bullshit posers like you here anyway. All right, what else do we got here? Hey, look at that. Look at that, boys. Huh? What do you think? Yeah, that's pretty nice, huh? That's a tranny. That's the Blair White chick. Y'all gay. All you guys are gay. No, seriously, when I was looking at this, first time I saw that picture, I was like, all right, now. All right. What's going on here? You know what I mean? It's undeniable. Here, I'll make it bigger. That's what she said. All right, here we go. Let's get a good look at her. All right. So you're telling me that's a dude, huh? That's what you're going with. It's a dude, huh? Prove it. All right, that's what I want to see. Prove it. Are they making trans really good now? That's a really good trans, right? That's a really good trans. I used to be very proud of the fact that I used to say all the time that there isn't. I couldn't be fooled. Like I can, and I still don't know that I can be fooled. Although I will say this, it's getting a little harder. I gotta figure that out. I'd have figured that. A lot of it has to do with talking to them. You know, you start talking to somebody. And then they talk like, you know what I mean? They're like, yeah, so I had difficulty finding a bikini top that matches my new implants. Like, you always know. You're like, oh, that's the giveaway. You sound like a dude. The irony is that I was trying to sound like a dude, and I do not sound like a dude. I have a chick voice. All right, let's keep going. Here we go. What's the next big story? Regretting moving to Texas. All right, you people can get the fuck out. Tim Dillon, Shane Gillis. I love Shane Gillis. Don't get me wrong, but you know, I'm sure Shane Gillis's takedown of Texas and living in Texas. I'm sure it was hysterical. I'm sure it was. All right, what else do we have here? Oh, here's a quick one. So ESPN is close to closing a deal with NFL Network. I'm sorry, I shouldn't say NFL Network because that is being a bit too reductive, I guess. NFL Media Properties. That's what the company NFL. It's their YouTube channel. It's their NFL Network. It's the Red Zone. It's the games that the NFL Network have contracts with, which is weird because they have contracts with themselves. The NFL Network is owned by the owners of your favorite NFL team. The NFL Network and NFL Media is a wholly owned property of the National Football League. They make all kinds of money off of this. The NFL Network was started when? Like 2004, 2005, somewhere back then. Been around about 20 years or so. In the beginning, the NFL Network, do you remember this? Oh, do you remember NFL Network gets debuted and every genius, all you fucking geniuses, that's never going to work. What, just network with football? What about when football's not happening? That's not good. This is stupid. I'm not investing. I would have given them, if I had any money, I'd have been like, here, take all of my money. I want to invest it in the NFL Network because you're telling me year-round coverage of NFL football? People don't care about that. Oh, people care about that. People absolutely care about that. And here we are 20 years later, and we've all seen the results. Yes, you can thrive as a broadcast content creator doing football stuff in April or in February or in March. There is no fucking off season for the NFL, and the NFL owners back in 2003, 4, 5, whenever they started this, they knew that. Despite all the critics, nobody's going to Good Morning Football. What? You mean it's a morning show and only talk about football? Yeah. You underestimate the grasp that NFL football has on the American male. The NFL Network did. So here we are all these years later in ESPN, NFL Network, which was started. It was began. Don't think that this was just a bunch of football owners getting together going, wouldn't it be cool if we had our own network? No, the NFL Network was started to turn the screws on ESPN. The NFL owners were dealing with ESPN and ABC and all that stuff, and they were doing football deals and ESPN, Monday Night Football, whatever. We're paying big money for a slate of NFL games every year. So the NFL owners, being the diabolical sons of bitches that they are, they decided, what if there was competition for ESPN? And what if we owned that competition? Imagine ESPN trying to out-negotiate something that we own. And of course, ESPN got their football contracts at highly increased rates because the NFL Network was like, we'll pay for that. And then ESPN was like, hey, that's not fair. That's you guys. You guys are driving up the price of the broadcast rights. So that happened. And now here we are, ESPN, Disney. Let's not kid ourselves. There's probably a few things in this country that are bigger than the NFL, but I'm pretty sure Disney is one of them. Disney has now said, all right, enough is enough. We're just going to come and we're going to gobble you up, NFL Network, which is raised a lot of questions here today. ESPN is closing a deal to buy the NFL media properties, which include the NFL Network, the Red Zone, and rights to games currently held by the NFL Network. Red Zone. Let's talk about what this means for Red Zone, because this seems to be the thing that a lot of people are most concerned with. And why not? I mean, honestly, if we were to, what are the most important things that NFL Media Holdings possesses? It would be Red Zone. Red Zone is awesome. How great is Red Zone? Do you guys watch Red Zone? I have rules for Red Zone. My rules for watching Red Zone is I only watch Red Zone when my team isn't playing. So when the Chicago Bears aren't playing, like, in other words, my team almost always plays at noon on Sundays. So for the second game, I always watch Red Zone. I'll watch one game in particular, but usually Cowboys at 3:00. It works out well for me being a Bears and a Cowboys fan, because the Bears always play at noon and the Cowboys always play at 3. And then I can do Red Zone and fuck around and all that. Anyway, it's fun. That's how I do it. But Red Zone is amazing. Red Zone, you want to talk about a game changer. You want to talk about something that we had never envisioned. I mean, I've been in one way, shape, or form a content creator since 1990. since my first job in radio, where they stuck me in a studio and said, make silly songs or make the, so I've been a content creator. And all I can tell you is, man, that is some, guys, hold on. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to lose my train of thought, but I've got an issue here. Hold on. Hold on. Sorry. All right, never mind. All right, I apologize. I had a little issue here with my computer for a second, and I need to make a change. All right, where was I? Fuck was I talking about? I'm distracted now by Frank. Frank in the chat room. Frank follows. All right, Frank, what are you doing? Why? All right, going back to the story we just discussed. Here. All right, Frank says that he follows Blair White on Twitter, a man who became a woman. I'm surprised she is a gun owner. First of all, why are you calling her a she, Frank? Why are you being respectful? You don't cotton to that stuff. I cotton to that stuff. I'll do the respectful thing if it's what they wish, because I don't feel like, unnecessarily prodding them. But I'll call them a she. You're not. That's not your thing. She's still a man to you, Frank. Just saying. Frank follows her on Twitter. That's weird. Like, what kind of fucking interesting shit is this moron saying on Twitter that you need to fucking follow this person? That you need to be publicly associated with following this person? I don't know. Frank's his own thing. Frank is a beautiful human being, one of my favorite people. But Frank he says some things and does some things that I always want to push back on him. All right, where are we? Red Zone. Thank you. There you go. CC helping me out. All right, Red Zone. Red Zone was game changer. Hey, do you guys remember Andrew Siciliano? Andrew, I don't think he's the Red Zone guy anymore. Didn't they get rid of him last year? Andrew Siciliano. He was the dude who, do you know what Red Zone is? Red Zone is just a channel that you watch, and it's a dude in a studio with a million TV screens behind him, and the TV screens all are showing different games. And whenever anything good is happening in one of the 10 games that are going on, they jump to it. So the Red Zone is nothing but Red Zone stuff. Like, oh, they're about to score. Let's go to that game. Or, oh, it's really cool. It is really cool. And I think that kind of programming and that kind of content creation has changed the way, certainly it's changed the growth of the NFL, because it's made fans out of people who, aren't necessarily fans of one specific team. But you can watch, if you don't have, like, you're from Nebraska, right? Who do you root for? I don't know who your team is. But if you can watch the Red Zone. The rest of the country without teams now have an entertainment choice, and it's all just exciting football plays. None of the boring stuff. It's brilliant. I love Red Zone. ESPN will introduce commercials into Red Zone. So that's one of the big problems that people are already. Probably be hosted by Pat McAfee. It'll have commercials. It'll be. All right, back to Andrew Siciliano. He was the original host, and I'm probably saying his name incorrectly. He was the original host, and I liked him. I didn't know any better. I'd never seen Red Zone before. This is a new thing. I'm digging the content. Who's this guy? Okay. He's the strangest looking man that they've ever allowed on TV. Andrew Siciliano. Let me show you a picture of this guy. I'm like, how did this guy did nobody else want to do this? Is that what this is? Is Andrew Siciliano the original host of Red Zone because nobody understood the concept and he was just there? All right, let me see. How do you spell his name? Siciliano. I don't even know. What's the dude's name? All right, yeah, here he is. All right, yeah. I spelled the name terribly. All right. It's S-I-C. This guy. He's very weird looking. Here you go. All right, here he is. I don't know how this guy got on TV, but he did. All right, here you go. All right, well, let me see if we get a good picture of All right, there he is. All right, that's young Andy. He looks okay. And then we're starting to see how weird he is. Have you noticed his ears yet? I mean, let's get into it. I mean, it's his ears. He's got such a strange ear situation. Look at those. It's just odd. Like, why didn't he get his ears pinned back? Like, that's a surgery that you can get. You'd think a guy that was going to be, trying to be on TV and all that, he'd get his ears fixed. All right, I don't mean to get distracted by Andrew Siciliano's ears. Like I said, I like him. I think he's good. I would suggest maybe going to a plastic surgeon and getting those damn ears pinned back. All right, Red Zone coming to ESPN with 100% more commercials. Yay! All right, the last thing we're going to talk about today is something that I found in the Observer this morning. I shouldn't act like I stumbled across it organically. It was sent to me by my friend Radio Dallas on Blue Sky. Thank you, Radio Dallas on Blue Sky. Oh, come on, give me the story. Here we go. It is from the Observer, and it is titled How to Speak Dallas, an unofficial Big D dictionary. And then the subtitle, it says, yes, I would love to contribute to the Observer, but the media landscape does not allow me to make that kind of expendable income. So thank you, Observer, but I'm going to pass on giving you a donation. Might I suggest maybe you donate to me? How about that? How about that, Observer? I mean, I am sitting here promoting your story. It says here, there's nothing more embarrassing than being in a new place or out at a work happy hour with your younger coworkers when somebody suddenly uses a word you've never heard before, but that everyone else seems to understand. And Dallas has no shortage of local code words that have left us scratching our heads a time or two. I'm trying to think of when I first moved here, were there, like Metroplex, I used that. That's the Metroplex was the first one that I went, what? That's not a word. That's a portamu of metropolitan area and plex, which is a cool modern sounding word. It was a branding thing. That's all. There is no other place in the world that calls themselves a Metroplex. Some marketing person decided that was a good way to sort of describe this DFW area. Here is something that I noticed when I moved here. When I moved from the Midwest to Dallas, I noticed that in conversations with people, mostly women, they did this thing that now is probably common, but so they would end sentences when you're having a conversation with somebody. Like in my mind, I'm thinking about this girl who was a salesperson at 105.3. And this is the example that I'm using. I was new here and I was having a conversation with her and she said something. And then at the end of it, she goes, right? Like all the time. And then I started to notice that like people will say things like, so we're going to go out to the lake. It's going to be a lot of fun today, right? Like I noticed a lot of people were doing that. And I'm like, is that a Texas thing? I've never heard. It was almost always women though. Oh my God, I'm so tired, right? So that was weird. That was something that I noticed. I have had it reversed on me though. I have had like people in Texas go, what the fuck does that mean? I used the word jagoff a lot, which is a Chicago term, and it's not what you think it is. It's not a dirty word. A jagoff is a Scottish term for a prickly thorn. Like when roses grow, some are thorny bushes. They have little thorns on the side. Those are known as jagoffs. So it's like a Scottish term. But in Chicago, we call everybody a jagoff. Look at that jagoff. So whenever I would use that here, people are like, what? What's a jag? You mean jerk off? I go, no, that's offensive. I mean jag off. That's not a swear at all. I had to have that conversation. Kelly said jag off once on the air. She called somebody a jag off on the air. And I remember Gavin Spittle, our program director, was like, you didn't dump that? You got to dump that. And that's where we had to have the conversation where that's not a dirty word. Sorry. I know you don't know it, and I know you're being overly cautious, but it's not necessary. Jagoff is defined as a prickly thorn on the side of a rose bush. That's what a jagoff is. I don't know what you think it is. All right, let's get into some of these words. Here's one that I knew right away. but I don't know that I necessarily associated it as a Dallas term. I had never heard it before moving to Dallas, but I didn't really think of it as a Dallas term. $30,000 millionaire. Do we still use that? Shouldn't it be $50,000 millionaire? I mean, it seems like 20 years ago we were calling them $30,000 millionaires. $30,000 millionaire is a term thrown around in Chicago to describe somebody who lives well beyond their means. Somebody whose credit card debt is just insurmountable, yet they still drive the latest BMW, pick up tabs at the fanciest uptown restaurants, and live in an apartment that they absolutely cannot afford. That is a $30,000 a year millionaire. There does seem to be a whole lot of that class of person here in Dallas specifically, but I never really associated that with a Dallas term, although I'd never heard it until I moved to Dallas. All right, there's one. How about Big D? All right, Big D. Is Big D our nickname? I think it is. I think it is. Now, one of the things that people like to go back and forth on Big D is the fact that is it Big D or is it the Big D? Right? I think, and the Observer agrees, it's Big D. Simply Big D. It's not like the Big Apple or the Windy City or the City of Angels. No, in Dallas, it isn't the Big D. It's just Big D. Big D. What else do we have here? Dallas terminology. Death Star. Is that? Yeah, that is Dallas, but it's Dallas because it refers to Dallas sports teams. Like when you refer to the Death Star, you're talking about AT&T Stadium, home of the Cowboys. I get that. Disney streets, Dallas terminology. Do you know what the Disney streets are? Well, they're exactly that. It's a neighborhood in North Dallas where all the streets are named after Disney characters. Peter Pan Drive, Cinderella Lane, that kind of thing. The Disney streets. How about the term, that's a dillback? This is apparently, according to the Observer, a Dallas term. That's a dillback. Apparently, this refers to a famous Dallas architect who built a lot of the buildings that we still see around town and homes. Apparently, a dillback home in Dallas is considered quite the status symbol. So if somebody refers to something as a dillback in Dallas, it's an architect whose whimsical and eclectic designs are sprinkled across the Dallas landscape. Do we have any more? We had fired Nico. All right, you're trying too hard. Yeah, Dallas Observer, really? You're making a list and you include fire Nico? Okay, we get that. That is, I guess, technically Dallas terminology. Large Marge. I've heard this. I've heard this because I'm in the area, but I've heard this. Have you? When someone in Dallas refers to Large Marge, what are they talking about? They're talking about the Margaret Hunt Hill Bridge. There's a big bridge right across the street. Margaret Hunt Hill Bridge, Large Marge. Dallas terminology. Let's see, what else do we have? This one here, they say may not necessarily be Dallas because people in Houston also seem to claim this term. I've never heard this term, Marg and Guac. Going out for Marg and Guac is apparently a Dallas term, but people in Houston say, no, we say Marg and Guac too. That means going out for Mexican food, going out for margaritas and what? Guacamole? All right. That's not really that impressive. That was not great. You know what I mean? That was I was hoping for more out of the Dallas Observer story on Dallas language. Apparently, it's not that great. I don't know. Barney seems to be making a very good point, which is like I like to read Barney's stuff because Barney's kind of thoughtful, even though he's kind of out there, but he's at least thoughtful. I mean, the respect I have for Barney is because he believes what he says. I may disagree with some of it, but he ain't being a dick about it. He says, I think the quote right things is a subtle manipulation. It's almost hypnotic. By not disagreeing, you're agreeing. You're buying into their BS like it's your idea. I appreciate that. All right. Hold on. Well, here's a fun fact from CC of the Sports Bras, and of course, one of the hosts of Shock House Radio, which we'll be doing a live Shock House stream coming up at 6:00. Oh my God, I gotta get out of here. I gotta do what I gotta do for Shock House. He says that Red Zone was invented by John Taffer from Bar Rescue. I dig it. I dig it as a fun fact. I'm gonna have to do a little bit of research on that because I don't know how that would be. Wasn't John Taffer a restaurateur? What is the origin story there? I was running a bar and I had a bunch of remotes and I would only put on the games that were. Is that what? How does that work? How does he make his way into the Manhattan Fifth Avenue offices of the NFL, walk in and go, hey, I got an idea. And they're like, what do you do? And he's like, I run a Hooters in Times Square. And they're like, sign him up. You might be right. You might be right. I don't know. I don't know that story. That's a weird story. All right, guys, we're out of here. We're done. We got to be done. Like, follow, subscribe, all that kind of stuff. Tip the show. Whatever. Oh, hey, somebody tipped the show today. I saw a tip. I got a tip. I'm going to thank that person tomorrow. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. It could be Peter, could be Barney. Let's be honest. It's one of 5 people, and I would like to thank you. Guess that's it. I love you guys. We'll see you back here tomorrow. We'll do another one. I don't know if tomorrow's going to be 3:00. Tomorrow might be a little bit earlier because as of now, I do not have anything going on at this particular time. So we might do an earlier show tomorrow. All right, folks, you're the best. That's it.